15-16 knotter, sailing really nicely
Hi, Mom.
with our asymmetrical spinnaker up. You're reading Harry Potter?
Yeah.
We are crossing. What's that, Nate?
It's good thing not to tourists. We are going to San Blas.
Yeah, we're going to San Blas. So welcome aboard our Sundeer 60 Slingshot. I'll give you a bit of a tour of the inside of our home for the past 3 years. So one of the things that I like about this boat and that you'll notice is Steve and Linda's design concept, which is open concept to keep everything feeling large, open, and bright. Often when folks come in on board for the first time, they comment on what a nice open plan space that we have. It's very comfortable. So I'll start by giving you a tour of the galley. Here we have 5 large drawers. We use these every single day. Here's an idea of the size. They work well. Our cutlery. We have various other things stored in these drawers. One of my favorite things about this galley, there's a few, but this is definitely one of them, is the large pantry storage area. It holds an incredible amount of food. I really like that I have so much food close at hand right beside the kitchen and the cooking area. You'll get a sense of how far back it goes, all the way to the side of the hull. Again, just a huge storage space. Here we have our 3-burner Force 10 oven. Works well. I love cooking. I've cooked roast chickens, roast beef dinners, lasagna, many delicious meals out of this oven. I personally like having at least 3 burners on the top. With a family and cooking, I often have all 3 of them going. The oven is controlled by our propane heating system or gas system. So just a quick flick of the switch turns the solenoid on. The light shows us that it's on. We use the oven and range, and then when we're done, turn it off here. I like having that safety feature. Next, a couple of storage spaces in the galley. This is storage space for some condiments, coffee, tea, dry goods. The Dashews often they use throughout most of the storage spaces on the Sundeer 60 with this spring loaded where it's stable, underway, keeps up, and just a simple tap and it comes down. This is where we keep our dishes, very handy, but also I love the fact that the 4 hull windows here are giving the boat a lot of light and space, and yet we can still have our storage as well. The next I'll move on to show you is probably my first favorite thing about this galley and about the Sundeer 60 is the focus on importance of the large freezer and fridge area. We've been cruising the Pacific now for 3 years. Often we are not near a grocery store, so I absolutely love that I have a full freezer kept very cold, full of berries and meat and incredible amount of storage. I don't think we've met yet another boat out that we've been cruising with that has a similar type of good cold storage area. So I'll show you the freezer first. It's top loading, which is great because it keeps the cold air in when you open it. You'll notice that there is at least 6 inches of insulation in the entire freezer, which helps to keep things very cold. Cold plate on either side. We keep this full of vegetables, ice cream, meat, and we really enjoy eating well on Slingshot. Just to give you a sense of how far down this freezer goes, it actually goes all the way to the floor here. When I'm reaching in, I can't even get to the bottom of it, tipped over with my whole arm length. There's of course the 6 inches of insulation on the bottom, but just a large space. And here is the fridge. Again, a top opening fridge on this section. Functional and easy with 2 storage areas in different heights. And a really fantastic feature of this fridge is there's 2 entry points. And the second Gavin will show you, which is a side entry point where we keep a lot of our drinks and extra vegetables and fruit that we'd like to keep cold and we aren't using right away. I'll show you as well. This is the temperature gauges and control areas for the fridge. And you'll see here, I'll just show you in here. Right now we're at -11 and -0.3. Those have just come up a little bit as we've been opening the fridge and freezer, taking these videos. It's handy to be able to see what the temperature is on the fridge and the freezer. Here we have a deep double sink. It's midline on the boat, which means while sailing, it's easy and functional to use. There's a soap dispenser here, the running water here. It's got a nice spray feature to use often. And here is our fresh water with a carbon charcoal filter, and the drinking water is beautiful. It has absolutely 0 type of aftertaste. Of course, we have our water maker water, which is fresh and clean with our desalination system, but the extra feature of the carbon filter makes the water just taste very, very good. One of the things I like about this boat in particular and this galley is just its functional space. First of all, there's a huge area to prepare food. When we have people over, I can serve the dishes here. There's a large space. And when we're underway, I can brace myself if I need to be working at the sink. And also, more importantly, if I'm working at the oven, I can brace myself here as well. You'll note it's a little bit higher. That is helpful again for being underway. It's at a comfortable spot that I can lean on. The fiddle rails here are extra height all the way the circumference around. So if the boat is moving a little bit, I can set a cup of tea here and it won't go anywhere, depending on which angle of heel that we're on. We looked at a number of boats and catamarans, and the storage area in this galley combined with the huge kitchen, or the huge freezer and fridge, definitely made this a selling feature for me on this boat. I will now take you on a tour of the middle area of the boat. I will note we have our own hard copy Dashew library. Gavin and I grew up reading these books, and I love having them on board. And I have been known to turn to certain pages while sailing and kind of get some more information from Steve and Linda. They're incredible sailors and have incredible knowledge, and I enjoy having them on board. So this is the kind of living space area with our table and some more storage. And I'll just talk about first the cushions and settee area. So the cushions, it's a synthetic leatherette, very nice, cool feel. If you know Steve and Linda, you'll know about their foam selection for all of their cushions. Definitely a step up on most production boats. Beautiful lumbar support. The foam feels pretty much brand new. Beautiful, nice, kind of firm but not too firm. Very, very comfortable seating. Here is some storage. So there's 4 of these storage areas in the middle part of the boat. Right now we keep them mostly full of our kids' schoolwork, but a lot of different things can be stored in there. They're quite deep. I'll show you the water tanks. So this Sundeer 60 is equipped with 2 port and starboard water tanks. This is the starboard water tank. And the interesting thing is you'll notice that it's raised up outboard on the starboard side. There's an equivalent identical one on the port side. It goes all the way from here all the way down to here and has a little feature and goes to the full side of the boat. There's 2 great features to have the water tank situated like this. First of all, it's combined 1,100 liters of water, about 375 gallons, which is fantastic to have that much water for our family of 4, not really water conserving. If we have our tanks full, it can be 2 weeks before we need to fill up. But because we have a water maker, we use water pretty liberally, and we often don't keep them, both tanks, 100% full. The reason why is because if we're sailing, what we will often do is we will use these tanks as water ballast. So Steve Dashew designed these boats with the idea that you would be able to have and lock off one side water tanks depending on which point of sail that you're on. As I said, we use this often when we're sailing downwind or upwind. It's very nice to be able to have 600 liters of water on one side, and the boat becomes very stiff. The other feature that is great with these water tanks is another safety feature, and that is if we were to have the unfortunate circumstance of hitting or a hole or something in that area of the boat, either port or starboard, it creates another layer of safety to have a fixed sealed area where water would not ingress the boat. That just reminds me of something that I haven't yet mentioned. As if you know Dashew boats, what they have is a fully watertight, 3 watertight areas. There's a forward area that we will show you, and the back engine room, watertight compartment, and the entire living area is watertight. That means that there's no through holes in this area. What I really love about that is that there is no smelly engine smells, mildewy sail smells, because all of those engine equipment, dirty things, and sails are stored not in the living space. I've had previous boats where we've had the engine kind of in the middle of the area, and I could never get rid of the diesel smell, or I would just smell it a little bit. So really fantastic that we don't have that to deal with on our Sundeer. I really like that there's a nice large space for some artwork here. It creates just a nice homey feel on a boat. That we're able to bring some nice artwork that reminds us of home. The hull windows keep this a beautifully light space. In addition to, you'll note that there are 2 large opening Bomar hatches here. Each of the hatches is equipped with a fold down wood with some netting to keep out any bugs. On the Pacific, we haven't had to deal with too many bugs. On occasion, we do, and these have been really handy to maintain the airflow, but also have protection from the bugs. All of the hatches were completely redone in 2018, so the glass is clear, beautiful, very well sealed. Nice new paint, and really enjoy having these beautiful hatches to provide the ventilation and the light. As well, if you know Steve Dashew boats, he's designed them for sailing in the trade winds and across the Pacific, and really anywhere, and ventilation is a key part of maintaining comfort. In this area, we have 4 door add areas in addition to the large hatches and 2 hatches here. Creates just beautiful airflow and also light as well. Nice big table here, comfortably has it for adults, and we've had this whole space filled with adult and kids many times, and fits everybody very easily. Underneath each of the settee cushions, there is a large storage area. I'll just give you an idea of what it looks like. Here's one of them. And we keep these often filled with food, some more school books in here, and just very easy to lift them up. They're wood, they securely fit in, and they're easy to access if I can't reach something in the kitchen. Here we have, this boat is equipped with air conditioning. And Gavin, help me with the name of it again.
Cruise Air.
It's a Cruise Air conditioning system. Really handy to have, especially if you're in a marina. To have beautiful cold air coming out is a huge plus. And we also were able to, when we were in New Zealand and it started to get a little bit cooler, we were able to turn the heat up and turn it sort of on reverse, which pumped warm, nice, dry air into the living space, which was a very nice feature to have. We also have a Webasto hot air heater as well. Gavin will just show you. Okay, moving into the forward area of the boat. This is Gavin and my sleeping space. We have our own head here, which is nice, especially if we have guests over. Nice to have our own space. There is a good amount of storage in this bathroom, and it's quite deep. We store a combination of things, tools, spare parts, and also bathroom related items and spares. So I love this room. It is got a beautiful, comfortable bed, a walk around bed, which I love. Very nice. We each have our own side. And these, I'll just draw your attention to these two vents here. So in the trade winds, the wind is often blowing. Those door adds funnel the air through here. Beautiful, cool air. And we don't even have fans in here because we don't need them. It's we have this beautiful hatch as well, so there's plenty of airflow in here, and we really appreciate that feature, especially in the tropics here. I really enjoy having my own sink here, the vanity area, and I have a large area here. It goes all the way back to the hull of the boat to store a bunch of my things. There's we happen to store our clothes in here. Again, similar with the spring loaded, quite a large deep space. So I have two and Gavin has two. There's also storage under the entire bed. We have a lot of our warm weather clothes stored in there. We also have some spare parts as well. There is storage here on each side. We happen to have our water filters stored here, easy to access. And another thing that I really like having is two large drawers that store our sheets and extra bedding. And we also have two large areas to store some hanging clothing and other items. I'll just give you a sense here of the type of storage space that there is. Now I'll show you our aft stateroom. And this has been our kids' bedroom for the last 3 years. And there's nice offset bunk beds, which each give them their own space. This has a beautiful window here, beautiful blue water out there right now, and one of my favorite places to relax and rest. There are, on each of the hull windows, we do have blinds which is helpful to keep little ones sleeping longer, a bit of privacy, and just to keep out the sun. So if this boat is to be purchased by a couple, this would be sort of the aft sea berth room. The motion in this particular bunk is very good in terms of there's not very much motion at all, being near the middle to aft section of the boat. Very, very comfortable. There's great ventilation. There's a large cockpit window here which allows communication with whoever's at the helm or in the cockpit area. There's also a window up here providing ventilation, and then a door vent here, and 2 fans and 2 lights make this really comfortable little bedroom for our youngest crew members. For storage, there's a nice deep closet here, currently being used by my daughter. There's another cupboard in there, which my son has some things in as well. This is a cupboard here, which is quite deep. You can put a basket here with clothes to be stored. And under the bed, we have a lot of extra spare parts and things. We can just lift up. That whole area as a compartment of storage. It's equipped with a Levac toilet, which is a vacuum type electric flush system. Very easy to use. Simply push button flush here, and you'll note that it will run for about 45 seconds. That is very helpful because it keeps any calcium deposit from the pipes at an absolute minimum to keep the fresh water running through. Here we have our washing machine. I love that we have this on board. Just makes laundry so much easier. We have a full shower stall, which is a very nice feature of this boat and a head in general, and very good water pressure that has both hot and cold. Very clean, easy to keep tidy, and large bathroom. So moving into the next spot on the boat, I'll pass this over to Gavin. We're at the navigation area of the boat.
I'll start over here. We have our Bluetooth, USB compatible AM/FM radio, our Spectra 60 liters per hour water maker, very easy to use. You push start, you choose the number of hours you want to run for. It auto flushes afterwards, or you can stop it. It runs off the solar panels, no problem. Very easy. You can be charging the batteries and making water at the same time from the solar. We have our Northern Lights 6 kilowatt generator, 1,078 hours. It is a 220 volt power source. You can choose between your inverter, the generator, shore power, ship power. We have a Pro Mariner battery charger, 12 volt, 60 amp. We have our safety warning system that tells us of fire, fumes, or high water levels in any of the 3 main compartments of the boat: forward, mid, or aft behind the bulkheads. We have our AC/DC circuit breaker panel. It's showing 120 volt from our inverter right now is a 120 volt 2000 watt pure sine wave inverter. The 12 volt system is showing the batteries are being charged by the solar right now. They're almost topped up for the day at 14.2, 14.5. They'll be done. We have our ICOM 802 SSB that works well. We check in with a few nets around the Pacific, We also sometimes get synoptic weather over it when there's poor internet signal in some of the atolls. We have some auto helm instruments and our WH autopilot, which was fitted on most of the Dashew boats. This is the main control head. There is also a control head up in the cockpit. So it's on right now. Down here I can control it by degrees, or I can hold the button in and control it by 10 degrees. I can control how much lets the boat wander. So if it's wavy going downwind, I turn the yaw down, or if I'm sailing upwind. If I'm reaching and I don't want to use power too much, I open the yaw up and let the boat wander a little bit more on a reach. If the waves start getting bigger, or if I have the spinnaker and I want to keep the boat under control, I turn the gain up, and that makes the autopilot react faster and stronger. But does use more power, but it's not an issue generally. The autopilot has been upgraded with a 9-axis gyro compass to improve the performance. So it's very accurate when steering, and you can have it be mild-mannered, or it can be very powerful depending on how you want to use it. Hi there, we're in the walk-in engine room. I'll just do a panorama here. This is fully isolated from the interior of the boat with a watertight bulkhead. I'll quickly just go around here, and then I'll give you a tour of everything that's here. So starting off in the back there, we have our dual fridge systems, 12 volt and 220 volt. We have our damage control pump with filter. We have a 500 liter fuel tank in the back there. Coming across this way, we have our fire suppression system in the engine room. Here we have our Yanmar 88 horsepower 4JH. It has dual 200 amp alternators for the house bank on there. We have our vacuum gauge for primary filters to tell us when they're getting full, so we can switch over. Here we have our dual filters. You can switch with this lever from one to the other, change the other one next time you're somewhere more calm, if that's an issue. We have our 20-gallon water tank, hot water tank, that's heated by the engine, 220 volt electric, and the diesel furnace. We have a sub panel here, oil change pump, water maker, autopilots, so forth. We have fuses on all the heavy load items, electric winches, starters, solar coming in, things of that nature. Switches for our winches to isolate. We have a voltage regulator for house bank alternators away from the heat, solenoid for the damage control pump. All the wiring is labeled and numbered to go along with the manual, so things are able to be located. We have our midnight solar controller that controls the power for our 950 watts of solar. Usually about 600 to 800 watts are coming in during the midday. Here we have one of two 500 liter fuel tanks. They're isolatable, and you can also transfer the fuel from one side to the other with this transfer pump. We have our Spectra water maker here, and we have our isolation transformer for the boat, and also a galvanic isolator. Here we have the aft mechanical compartment. Just give you a quick panorama of the whole area and go through the items in detail. start off with, we have the WH autopilot hydraulic system. We have dual quarter horsepower motors and hydraulic pumps. These are not continuous pumps. When they stop, the rudder is locked in position, so very efficient but still powerful. Dual motor controllers that can run independently of each other, so there's redundancy there. We have the oversized quadrant and rudder post. The boat's been spec'd with a rudder steering system 2 times stronger than required by ABS standards. Heavily reinforced rudder stops as well. Northern Lights 6 kilowatt 220 volt generator. Emergency tiller. Some storage bins for different items. Air intakes for the engine room. Part of the exhaust and heating system there. We have some more storage bins here. We have the ICOM tuner. And finally we have the Spectra vane pump with filters. There, the vane pump was rebuilt in 2021. It's quite easy to also keep a spare on board.
I'll give you a quick tour of our outside living space. The first thing I'll note is our back deck area. And up above me is our large bimini, very good sun protection. And this is middle of the day in Raiatea here. And as you can see, there's a lot of area of shade. We'll show you the solar panels up above it in a moment. So we have these 2 chairs that we love sitting in here. Beautiful space to entertain and also be comfortable but out of the breeze. You'll note that we have our table here as well, and there's also another location for the table which we'll show you in a moment. Underway, we've placed these chairs side by side, just like this, and we secure them against the stanchion, and they're also a really nice place to be underway, good visibility and in the breeze. We also have a dock box here. This has 2 functions. We use it, it's just a nice place to sit. Beautiful visibility, you can see the whole anchorage, but also very functional. Inside there's plenty of space for storage. We have to have our emergency water in there and some kite gear. Next I'll show you our enclosed aluminum Dodger. This is a very sturdy custom built aluminum Dodger. It is covered with new acrylic glass in 2018. It provides great sun protection, really good wind protection, and very good underway protection from the elements. We've been in considerable breeze, 20 to 30 knots, and kids can be in here comfortable and not really even notice what the wind is doing or the conditions outside. Also, there is 2 large seating areas here. These are 8 feet on either side, and another Steve and Linda design Dashew principle, which is ample space for somebody to lay out while the other person is on watch. And also good communication here with the sea burst through this opening hatch. There are also 2 hatches here that open, and they provide really good ventilation. It's about 14-15 knots here and nice wind coming through. There's also a 3rd hatch in this area here which allows nice wind circulation. We've got our engine controls here covered by a plexi cover. And you'll also note the other location of the table. This is where we usually have it in place. The table swivels and easily sits our family of 4. Next, I'll show you our navigational instruments aboard Slingshot. So we have our Panasonic Tough Book, which comes loaded with OpenCPN, Google Earth images of the Pacific, and cruising guides for the Pacific as well. We have our radar, which we've turned on, and it's overlaid onto the screen here. We also have our Vesper AIS, which will connect with your iPad to show you all of the other boats in the vicinity. And this alarm here, there's a loud siren and a red light that flashes when it's our AIS proximity alarm. We also have our auto-elm instruments here. So we have our wind speed, we can switch between true and apparent here, our boat speed knots, and our depth sounder. We also have our VHF in the cockpit, which is handy to have easily accessible outside, but also protected. We also have the pedestal here. This is, right now we happen to have the wheel off when we're at anchor, which just gives a really nice feeling of open space in the cockpit. Now I'll show you some of the controls and winch systems aboard Slingshot. So to start with, we have 3 Anderson 46 2-speed electric winches. So here, here, and then there's one on the port side as well. These are the buttons for easy control. So all lines that we use for sailing run back to one of these 3 winches. Typically this is for our main sheet, so all our reefing lines, all our halyards, everything will flow back to one of these 3 winches. I will say that having these electric winches on board make for easy double-handed, and my husband single-handing a Slingshot, a 60-foot boat, quite easy. He is able to single-handedly reef, and I can reef and jibe with my 12-year-old son. The boat is quite easy to control. We use our main winch for when we jibe. We will actually center line in the boom, so we pull the main all the way in and then jibe, and we've done this in all types of wind conditions, as well as quite strong wind. And there's no slamming of the boom coming across in the jibe. It's quite an easy motion. Our large rudder is more than able to cope with the large load of the main being centerlined. Also, we have 2 other winches either side. So they are Anderson 28s, and we use them solely for tensioning the forestay when we're going upwind, as we have our carbon freestanding mast. That's really all that we need them for, and not for downwind work. Here is the gear shift and throttle, and here is the autopilot hydraulic valve. Easily is engaged just by a pull. And here is the autopilot control. The best feature is the dial for steering. It's very powerful. Often we'll use this for docking. It can control by hydraulics turning the wheel much faster than I could physically do it. So we use our autopilot probably 98% of the time.
A deck tour of Sundeer 60. We have some of our clutches here for reefing, halyards, things of that nature. The main sheet is on a clutch as well. Frees up the electric winch for other needs. Coming forward, we have our bathroom door ad, a good handle for when you're walking forward. You'll notice there's one up there. There's lots of handholds all the way along the deck. The traveler, really large hatches for ventilation. have our new stack pack in 2018. Holds the main very well, catches it, lets it go up and down easily. You can see here, again, more handholds, very tall lifelines, make the boat feel very secure. Clear walkways if you have to go forward, makes it very easy to walk up and down the deck when you're out at sea. We have our Vangmaster rigid vang that holds the boom up. Jib track with Entall cars. All the hatches were refinished. New acrylic, new seals, new sealant in 2018, so there's no leaks on those, and they look nice with Imron white paint. Okay, up at the bow here, we have our 55 kg rock 9 anchor, new chain in 2020. We have our Harkin furler that was rebuilt with all new rollerball bearings in 2018. We have our Maxwell windlass with a new motor, and the spare motor was rebuilt. We have the forepeak here, nice large hatch. Lots of room down there for sails and fenders. We have the hard Dodger here. It's able to stand on. I can walk around on it. I can get to the stack pack if I need to close the zipper. We have the 3 solar panels for 945 watts. They're quite low profile, so you don't notice them when you're looking at the side of the boat.
Hello, this is Anna at Nautilus Yacht Management. I'm sure you are now completely smitten. Slingshot really is one of a kind, I have to say. Very seldom do we come across boats of this caliber and in this condition. Even though, as you've been able to tell over the past 12 years, we've really strived to bring you only the very best cruising yachts out there. So this boat is currently in Tahiti with her owners. They are available if you would like to organize a video call and a private inspection. Tahiti also is open to vaccinated travelers without quarantine, so you can get in touch with us to find the latest with the traveling information and obviously to organize a tour or an inspection. All the information are on Yacht World or on our website, so just check on the link at the end of this video or into the video description on YouTube. I also would like to take the opportunity to apologize for some of the audio, which is not always best, but we do our very best considering we have little resources and we are working together with the owners to make a video. So we are not professional filmmakers, we're just trying to do our best to present the boats with as much information as possible so you can enjoy it at your end. Thank you.